You're listening to a podcast from the Finnish Football Show.
Yep.
Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. I'm Mark W Keke. Thanks for joining us for another episode. Joined today by Keke. Hi, Keke.
Terve.
And we're kind of down to our bare bones for this episode. The squad is very depleted. It's just the two of us today, but we wanted to get together. It's been about a month since the last show, so there's a few bits and pieces to talk through, and we thought we'd do it with two of us to give you lovely listeners something from us, and we got a few other things in mind that'll be coming during this kind of extended close season. We're gonna start by looking at the first few results in the revamped Liigacup that we previewed in the last episode. Then a discussion on what seems to be a bit of an exodus of players from the Veikkausliiga, and we'll probably worry ourselves a little bit about whether there's a talent drain from the Finnish top flight. We're going to look back at the recent Portugal training camp for the Huuhkajat and the friendlies that were played there, and then look forward to the slightly more competitive Euro 2024 qualifiers, and we'll finish up looking at the Helmarit, the Finnish women's team. They've also got some games coming and a little bit of other news around the women's game as well. But Keke, if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready as I've ever been, mate.
Good stuff. There's the referee's whistle. And we're off with Liigacup. And there's been, I don't know, let's just remind everyone that now there's two groups of 6 teams. The top 2 from each group will go through to the semi-finals and then the finals, and this all gets played out between late January and the beginning of April, just before the Veiikausliiga starts. And in Group A, we've got Honka, Mariehamn, HJK, Lahti, Inter, and KTP. And what I've noticed, first of all, Keke, in this group, I'm not going to go. I could read all the results, but that would be really boring. I don't have the old Alexander Armstrong voice, so I won't do it. But most notable in this group was Mariehamn, who have played 3. They've drawn 1 and lost 2, which is that's not qualification form, is it?
No, certainly not. And they've had a bit of trouble. And I mean, yesterday some even nastier news come out of Mariehamn with poor old Patrick Raitanen has suffered a really nasty injury in the game against Inter Turku. His own sort of posts on social media said that as soon as he felt the knock, he knew it was a bad one. But yeah, it's been confirmed that that's an ACL injury that's going to keep him out for some considerable time.
Yeah, it's not the longest season either, is it? I suppose he's got a couple of months before the Veikkausliiga starts, but it's never a good one. No,
I mean, I don't know if you remember, but a few months ago we mentioned Patrick because he'd spoken about mental health in football and in sports in general.
Yes.
And he, as a very young lad, he was at Liverpool. I think he had a spell in Holland as well. Went back to Finland. I think he's employed by HJK, but he's been on loan at IFK Mariehamn. And yeah, he's had a couple of injury setbacks before, and then looking forward to playing a solid season, and he gets hit with this one. So, I mean, obviously the results on the pitch have not been too kind for Mariehamn, but that is a really cruel blow for them, and more so to Patrick. So I just wanted to say, we wish him well, and we'll look forward to seeing him back. It's going to be a long road to recovery. He knows that, himself, but we'll be keeping an eye on him and hope we see him back on the pitch, before too long.
Yeah, get well soon, Patrick. That's, I guess, from January or beginning of February. Maybe the second half of the Veikkausliiga season if everything goes to plan. The way that things are currently sitting in that Group A, I mean, the games are a bit unevenly spread at the moment. You've got two teams that have played 3, and the other 4 have all played 1. So Honka sitting at the top with 5 points out of 3. That's 1 win and 2 draws. I mean, no one's really running away with it, and I think we've said before we all view this as a bit of a sort of pre-season preparation competition, but there's a pot at the end of it to be won.
That's it.
Honka are sitting at the top with 5 points, but then behind them, Huuhkajat and Inter with 3 points each from just the one game. So they're all sort of sitting pretty just behind at the moment. Yeah. In Group 2, there's one extra game been played there. Nothing particularly dramatic to notice, apart from a very important win for Asiko against local rivals Veikkausliiga. It's good to start the year as you mean to go on in front of a nice big crowd of 498 there in the Bubble Dome, the Wallsport Arena. Which actually, it's not a bad crowd when you think quite how people are watching. You're literally standing on the touchline. It's hilarious. I haven't been to these first couple of games yet. I don't love that experience of watching football, if I'm completely honest. You can see the quarter of the pitch that's just in front of you, and once it goes further away, you're scuppered. A bit like watching Sunday league football over the park, but to have that many people in there watching that game, albeit for the Pohjanmaa derby, it hopefully bodes well for the season. It'd be nice to see the crowds up throughout the whole season, and certainly above 498. But for the indoor game, it's a good start.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, that's not a bad crowd, like you say, Mark. They squeeze into the old balloon there. There's not exactly a lot of room. You're either got 1 foot on the pitch, or you've got your head in that sort of parachute balloon.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, at one end there's like a mezzanine level, and there is a very small katsamo, a very small stand there, which I think is like the VIP section, and then the other side of that is basically like a gym up there. I think I posted a picture a few years ago of me sitting on an exercise bike watching one of these games.
Quality.
And I'm sure the other day, I mean, when I was watching the game the other day, I saw my friends Billy and Jules up there at the front of the mezzanine making noise. But I'm sure there was someone sitting on on a workout machine, because I saw as we had a shot and just missed, he sort of threw his arms back up in the air and his legs went up in the air, and I'm sure he was sitting on some piece of work equipment. Well, no injuries were reported, so I'm sure he did all right then.
But as you say, mate, it does bode well for the upcoming season. It's good to see some crowds already. So
fingers crossed, and that group's a lot more evenly spread out. So all the teams in Group B have played twice. And evenly spread out also in that most of them have picked up a win, and there's 4 teams sitting on 3 points. You've got Oulu at the top who have won and drawn, and you've got Ilves at the bottom who have lost and drawn. But otherwise, it's all very, very tightly packed there. So not really much to say about who might be qualifying just yet. So all the teams have got 3 more games to play there still.
Yeah, plenty of football to be played before anyone lifts the cup. But we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and you said about crowds, hoping for crowds coming this year. It looks like AC Oulu are hoping for some bigger crowds in the not too distant future.
Yes, mate. Yeah, there's some bit of exciting news coming out of Oulu. They've got plans for a new stadium. It's the Heinäpää football stadium, and the plan has been approved by Oulu City Council. So it's one step forward for getting that purpose-built football stadium for AC Oulu built. It says here if the project goes to plan, they plan to be playing football in the new stadium in the summer of 2024. So yeah, the rubber stamp from the council, and I suppose if they want to be in there by that time, the whole construction will start soon.
It looks very tidy. I mean, I know it's only a sort of computer generated image, but it looks very tidy on there. And I put this in the blog post as well. So wherever you're listening or watching, just have a look down. You'll find the link to the blog post. Any idea on the capacity?
Not off the top of my head, mate. But like you say, it does look like a nice sort of. It's from the CGI that we've seen. It's like a nice sort of tight English style football ground. Yeah, I mean the ground they play on at the moment is one of these municipal multi-sport arenas, which quite a few football clubs in Finland tend to play in, with a big old running track and the old the long jump and the shot put and bloody discus grass and all that. It's got a lot in it, but yeah, this new ground, it looks nice and compact. Yeah, some seats and that nice and close to the pitch. So yeah, let's hope that gets going and we see that open on time.
It looks like a lot of these newer build stadiums, like it's got one bigger main stand and three sort of smaller connected stands, a little bit like ASIC or a little bit like the Wimbledon ground back over in the UK that I was at just last Christmas again. And but Lady Satu would have issues with this having open corners. She doesn't like a stadium with open corners. In fact, she thinks it's not a stadium if it's got open corners. It's a controversial view. I don't strictly agree, but I think
we're not going to tell her that.
Well, I do tell her I disagree sometimes, but not always. And it depends how brave I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Anyway, good luck to AC Oulu with that, because that looks nice, and maybe we'll encourage a few more people to travel up there as well. It's if you've got somewhere good to watch the game, it makes the whole day out a bit more worthwhile.
Yeah, these slightly smaller, maybe smaller capacity but tighter grounds. Honestly, I think it makes for a much better experience, a better fan experience. I think the players will probably prefer playing in a purpose-built football stadium. So yeah, watch this space. We'll keep an eye on AC Oulu's stadium progress and keep on reporting on that, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on from the results and the action in the Liigacup and talk about the recent transfers. There's been a feeling in our Finnish Football Show WhatsApp group that everyone's leaving. Is it as bad as that, or are some of them actually coming back as well?
Yeah, there's been a few people return as well, but yeah, our mate Ali, he's been a bit upset seeing a few people leave Huuhkajat, but from my own point of view, I know we want to see decent players in the Finnish top flight, but when you're talking about young Finns, getting their chance to go abroad and try themselves out in possibly stronger leagues, I'm all for it, mate. Obviously we want, as I said, we want decent players in the Veiikausliiga. We want to see great football, but if Finnish clubs can get a little fee for some of these players, and the players get to go and test themselves out in Poland or Norway or Sweden or wherever it may be, or Italy. There's been quite an exodus to Italy of young Finns as well. So I'm all for it, mate. If that's going to help their development and ultimately help grow the game and grow the national team, then yeah, I'm right behind it.
Any particular ones that have sort of stood out to you so far as being particularly good moves or particularly surprising moves?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you speak about good moves, Arttu Hoskonen, who's left Huuhkajat and signed for Cracovia in Poland. There, he he's made that move, and he'll link up with Benjamin Chalman, who's been at Cracovia for a little while now. But obviously, Polish league. There's one or two Finns playing in that league now. We've seen Robert Ivanov develop his game over there, and I think that's a decent move for Ardo. I mean, he's 25, so it's the sort of, in my opinion, it's the right time to make the move if you're going to step up. He's sort of broken into the national team setup. He had we'll move on to talk about those Portugal friendlies, but he's had a little sniff of that. He played well in Huuhkajat's European games this past season, and yeah, I honestly think that's a decent move for him, mate.
Yeah, there's players going to the Finnish players going to like stepping up to stronger leagues, aren't they? You mentioned Poland. There's a few gone to Norway as well, and Sweden too. So it's, I don't know. I think it's good. And like we talked last time about Daniel Hawkins going from Seinäjoki to Järv in Norway, and he's apparently just moved on again already, which is interesting for was it about it was 4 million kroner. I haven't looked at the exchange rate lately. I don't know if that's like 350,000 euros or something like that. So
yeah, he's signed. He's stayed in Norway. He's signed for
Vålerenga.
Say that, but Vålerenga. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Yeah, Vålerenga. But yes, he's signed for them. Yeah, it looks like a decent move. They've signed a couple of players actually this week, and yeah, Daniel Hawkins has been one of them. He signed for Jerv. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he set the world on fire there, but yeah.
Well, they bought him after loaning him, so they knew what they were getting, which is why I find it interesting that after a couple of months of signing permanently, he's gone elsewhere. But
well, you don't know what's behind it. I mean, Vålerenga could have been scouting him all that time and have just made the move and Jerv, offered money to Jerv that they couldn't turn down. You don't know how it's worked out, do you? But yeah, Hawkins stays in Norway, and yeah, let's just hope he gets some minutes and can show us what he's all about.
So we're not worried about an exodus of players because it just gives you more Finns overseas to talk about.
Pretty much, mate. Yeah, I mean that's I like to keep an eye on that. So,
tell everyone how do you keep an eye on that? It never fails to amaze me the volume of posts that come through on that Instagram page, and it's all good stuff. So I've packed in my day job to devote my full-time employment to the Finnish Football. I think you must have, yeah.
Yeah. No,
are you following individuals? Or are you following clubs that people move to, or?
Yeah, a bit of both. Just I've got my sources, mate.
Oh right, okay. So sorry, am I asking you to give away your trade secrets? I don't want to lose your listeners because nobody else out there can be bothered to do the work you do, I'm sure.
Well, there you go. But I mean, yeah, when we're talking about other players who have signed for clubs recently, I mean, Saku Ylä-Tupa, he's stayed in Sweden, but he's joined Kalmar. So again, he'll be linking up with another Finn. Simon Skrab is already there in Kalmar. So yeah, Ylä-Tupa, this is his third club in Sweden, I believe. He was at AIK, yeah, and then he was at Sundvall, and he's joined Kalmar now. So good luck to him. Who else have we got who's moved recently? Freddie Jensen, he signed a contract extension with FC Augsburg in Germany. So yeah, not one who's moved, but he's done enough to earn a contract extension there. Player who has moved to Germany is Jere Uronen. So he's left France and made his way over to Germany. He's signed for Schalke. Who are languishing at the bottom of the league, but
I think we said this last time that they're a massive club, but they're a hopeless team. and they just can't seem to get their act together.
That's right. They've been struggling recently, but he's sort of slotted straight into the team, and they've kept a couple of clean sheets since he's been there. So we'll see what happens there. Who else we got? Carl-Johan Eriksson, Saku Eriksson.
Yes,
he's it was a bit of a weird one because he came into Dundee United in Scotland. Obviously, Ilmar Niskanen's there in Dundee United as well. Saku Eriksson, who had that fantastic run of clean sheets when he was at Mjällby in Sweden, almost broke the record for the amount of minutes with clean sheet minutes in the Allsvenskan. I think it was something like 11 minutes away from breaking that old record. But yeah, he was doing fantastic there. Signed for Dundee United. He sort of knew he was going there and had to prove himself and earn the jersey. Had a couple of games. I think he was on a bit of a raw end of a thrashing from Celtic from memory. But who isn't?
Yeah, not the first, not the last.
No, exactly that. And then he chipped in with some clean sheets, and then sort of lost his place again. And I'm not even sure he understands what sort of went wrong there. I mean, this move is only a loan,
right? Okay.
So he's joined Danish side Nordjylland. How do you say that one, Mark?
Nordjylland, I think it is something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they're a decent. I think they're a small club, but they're a successful club in recent years. They're making. They seem to make their way into European competitions, which is where I've heard Nordjylland name mentioned from time to time. Yeah.
So yeah, Saku's joined them on loan to the end of the season, and he's had a couple of minutes already in some of their sort of friendlies.
And listener, you should rest assured, Keke has been making eyes at Saku already, but he's not quite committed to come on the show yet and join the list of Finnish goalkeepers that Keke's interviewed.
That's it, yeah.
But Keke will keep showing a bit of leg, and we'll get him there eventually.
Yeah, we'll keep on knocking on doors, see if we can get Saku to come and talk to us at some point. But yeah, he needs to get his head down in Denmark for the minute. And is it Denmark or Norway? God. But yeah, he needs Denmark. He needs to get his head down there and get some minutes under his belt first. But yeah, who else has been moving around? Let's have a look at it. Oh, one who's left. Nordjylland is Oliver Antman. He's left those guys and he's signed for Groningen in Holland and come straight into the side. Made his debut as a substitute and rescued a point for him in a 1-1 draw with an absolute banger of a goal. So
he's on fire at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah. So he had that national team goal and he's been playing really well. And yeah, he's caught the eye of Groningen. They're can't remember how many games old the Dutch season is, but they're sort of they need some firepower because they're languishing at the wrong end of the table. But yeah, he's gone there, as I say, scored on his debut, and let's hope that that's a good move for him. Obviously, Dutch league is another step up for him. So
but that seems like I mean, quite quick progress. But that would seem to be a good rung up the ladder, really, wouldn't it? From there. So
yeah, I mean, another guy who scored on his competitive debut for a new club is Kaan Kairinen. He signed for Sparta Prague in Czech Republic. I think that was a little while ago now. He's been there a good few weeks, but yeah, they're sort of. He played his first competitive game at the weekend and scored an absolute belter after about 6 minutes, and then assisted a second one. So yeah, I think they ran out. Was it 4-1, 4-2 winners or something like that? Yeah, I could check. It was 4-1 victory. So so he scored one and made one. So yeah, Kaan Kairinen doing good things in Czech Republic there. Tim Spard at the same club. He's moved on from I think he was under 18 coach or working with some youngsters over there anyway. He's had a year or so in that job. He's moved on and he's now B team coach. So he's progressing up the ladder as well. So it's all happening, mate.
Yeah, let's give Spav 4 or 5 years and he'll be ready to take over from Rive when Rive's ready to retire.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be nice,
Some continuity there, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But, sorry, mate, I went a bit off topic there. We were supposed to be talking about the Veikkausliiga and...
No. I said to you about, it gives you more Finns overseas. I think it's good that the two things are connected. If Finns are leaving Finland, then they're going overseas, and that Instagram page that you manage for us is the place where people can keep on top of all of those transfers. I'm just looking at the little screenshot with the first half a dozen pictures there, and Paulus Arajuri's come back to Finland, or maybe he was back last year at Huuhkajat, but he's re-signed.
But he's certainly come back to Finland, because if you do follow him on social media, or you can even tell by the picture we posted with his suntan, he's been all over the place, mate.
I'm guessing he's been wintering at his home back in Paphos, where he was playing in Cyprus up until a year or so, until last year. So,
I'm not 100% sure of any of the locations, but he's definitely been on some beaches. I can tell you that.
Have you been seeing him in his budgie smugglers on the beach?
Not quite, but he's definitely been on the beach. But he's come back to Finland, and he won't be playing in the Veikkausliiga though. He's signed for Huuhkajat, who are now playing their trade in Ykkönen. So I mean that is absolutely huge. Paulus Arajuri playing in Ykkönen it's fantastic for that division. You know what I mean? It'll hopefully get some bums on seats and get some people paying some ticket money through the turnstiles for Ykkönen clubs, and it's an absolute belter of a signing for Huuhkajat.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so again, it's time for us to try and fill the coffers, the Finnish Football Show coffers, a little bit by showing you some of the merch. If you're watching the video for this, then Keke is wearing the blue Finnish Football Show five-a-side team there with all our names on the front of the shirt. You see that on the screen here as well. What about? Let's have a look. These are still last year's designs, because I'm just too busy to make new ones. I'm very sorry, but you can see here the AC Oulu design.
Nice.
I think it's nice. The colours there based on the AC Oulu badge rather than their navy blue kit, but it's kind of petrol blue logo that says Oulu and AC there as well. Prices are controlled by TeePublic. We get a little cut from each one, but keep your eyes on there, because we're often seeing little discounts coming through. Sometimes as much as sort of, well, at the moment it's priced at €25. Sometimes you get one for sort of 12, 13 euros. So if you're lucky, and I'll try and do something about these designs as soon as I possibly can. But there's hoodies and phone cases and tote bags, as well as a variety of different shapes of t-shirt as well. So anything that you, whatever you fancy, you can probably get our design put on it. Yeah,
there we go. I have to say they come out really nice. As you said, mate, I've got the old five-a-side team one on. Look at that.
Yeah, right? No, it's true, and they wash, and the print stays, and the shirt itself hold its shape. Yeah, it is decent. If you don't want to wear Finnish Football Show merch, then you could always just give us a little.
That's my question.
Well, there's that part. But if you are clearly so unstylish that you don't want to wear one of these t-shirts, then maybe you could just give us a little tip with our Buy Me a Coffee profile. We've had some good donations in the past from different people at different times. It's all gratefully received and goes towards the running costs of this. we enjoy making this, but it does have a bit of a cost. So anything you can do to help us would be gratefully received. And that's the end of the ads. Keke, let's crack on with the second half. And let's talk about these training camp and the 2 friendlies in Portugal last month in January. 2 fixtures. Firstly, Sweden versus Finland, and then Finland versus Estonia. How did it go?
Results-wise, not fantastic, to be honest. I mean, two of our closest neighbours geographically, and yeah, we got toned over by both of them. First game against Sweden, we went down 2-0, and then a couple of days later, Estonia rolled us over 1-0. So not fantastic results on paper, but as you say, it was these warm weather training camps. I think we touched on the squad in the last episode, but there was an awful lot of new faces. A lot of guys handed out debuts, and I think River would have just used it to sort of show some of these younger guys what it was like to be in and around the international fold, be in and around the senior squad. But yeah, there was a lot of new faces, and the results went the way they did. I mean, I'm not sure. Apart from that, giving these young boys the experience of stepping up to that sort of that men's A national team side squad starting 11, I'm not sure what else River could have taken away from it really. But yeah, apart from a bit of sunshine on their backs. But it's always, I guess, for the lads, it's always nice for them to get together, put the shirt on. But
in the Sweden game, we saw some sort of new faces like Lucas Bergström starting in goal, Arttu Hoskonen, Santeri Vannanen, Aigon Sadiku, Niilo Maanpää, Kai Meriluoto. Yeah, so that's
Thomas
more than
Galvez.
half the team. Yeah. Yes, as well. Sorry,
young Thomas Galvez. So yeah, it was a very young side. I mean, you had some experience in there as well. Richard Jensen, Robert Ivanov at the back, Perusori on the wing. So there was a little bit of experience there, but yeah, I mean, it was, what was it? It was 1-0 right until the end, wasn't it? They scored they scored in about the last kick of the game, 3 minutes over 90. But yeah, it's sort of it is what it is. It was a training game. We've come out on the end of a 2-0 loss, but yeah, it was it was nothing to cry too much about, I don't think.
No, and then in the Estonia game, I mean, Viliami Sinisalo got a game. Saku Ylätupä, who you mentioned earlier, Jaakko Oksanen, Matti Peltola, Robin Tihi, Anthony Olusanya, Ville Koski, Noah Pallas. There's a lot of new names in there, and I guess it's also
young guys as well.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe some names to keep an eye out for in the Veiikausliiga or playing for their teams overseas as well, and see if they can push their way into the team. We've been talking about this gradual evolution of the Huuhkajat. A lot of the more senior players have stepped away in the last 18 months or so. So there's progression for these, and maybe just to show these kids that they've got a chance.
Yeah, I mean the Estonia game, obviously 1-0 to Estonia, but it was a slightly better game for Finland. I mean, Diogo Thomas had a decent game in defence there, and Robin.
Yeah, that's worth
also
mentioning as well, because he's only come into the squad recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, and Robin Tihi, he had an half decent game. Noah Pallas played well on the wing there, and you had the experience of Rasmus Schuller, who captained the side in the centre of midfield there. But yeah, there was some there was some decent performances in that game, and it gives, I suppose it gives River a chance to see who's ready to step up into a squad, and who needs a little bit more time with the under-21s.
And it kind of brings us on to the Euro Euro 2024 qualifiers.
Yes, mate.
And the reason I'm stumbling is because I haven't written it in my notes what competition it is, but I do know.
Yeah.
And that starts in late March, so it's only about 6 weeks' time now.
Yeah.
These competitive games. Obviously, it's still winter over here. So Finland's first 2 games are away. They're playing Denmark on Thursday the 23rd of March and Northern Ireland on Sunday the 26th of March. Have you got your tickets?
Tickets to Northern Ireland are sorted.
Very good.
I won't be making it to Parken for the Denmark game, but yeah, obviously I know a few people who are going over there. But yeah, there's I'm heading to Belfast, second time over there to see Finland. So yeah, I'll be going to Belfast, meeting all the guys over there, and
nice.
Yeah, looking forward to it, mate. Can't wait to report back from sunny Belfast. But,
and what do we think? I mean, obviously the squad will be dramatically different from from this training camp. But any thoughts on who might be on their way into this squad? Anyone to look out for?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be vastly different, isn't it? I mean, I think, as I said, Diogo Thomas had a good game. He's been in and around squads prior to that training camp. I think he could hang on to a place. Yeah, from the guys, from the young guys that have come in. I mean, I'm not sure you'll see too many of them. I think it'd be nice to see Sawyer hang on to a place. He's not made some of the competitive squads recently, so it'd be nice for Pedro to hang on to his place. But yeah, I think we'll see a much more settled squad selection, I believe, mate.
Yeah, and just as a reminder for the listener, Finland's group is Denmark, Finland, Northern Ireland, Slovenia, Kazakhstan again, and San Marino. And we previewed it in the January episode. But the feeling is we're the second seed in that group behind Denmark, and we should be aiming at least to finish second.
I would say so, mate. I mean,
progressing from that.
Yeah, that's got to be the aim. I mean, obviously dramatic circumstances when we played Denmark back at Euro 2020, but yeah, we've shown that we can beat them as well. So yeah, it's we've got to be looking at least second out of that group, I believe, mate.
Yeah, I think so. I'd be disappointed if we're not doing, at least getting out of this group and qualifying seems. Is it? I can't remember now from last time. Is it as straightforward as coming second and qualifying, or is there some kind of complicated way where it's based on points or goals or all that business?
No, the first 2 qualify.
Right. Okay. So it's doable. And this is, I think, being second seeds and looking at the other teams there and thinking we can beat them is a consequence of a few years of Nations League and showing we can compete against these better teams and getting to the Euros. Okay, the World Cup qualifiers last year didn't quite pan out, but we go again.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we spoke at length about the Nations League, the previous issue of the Nations League when that was ongoing, and I mean, it didn't. While we were in the middle of that campaign, it didn't feel very awe-inspiring. But by the end of it, we'd stayed in our division, we'd dispatched a couple of teams, we've got some half-decent results. So yeah, I do think we are. There were some massive steps forward in the previous years, but we are still. I think we are still going in the right direction. Maybe the progress has slowed a touch, but I still think we're heading in the right direction, mate.
And while refreshing the squad, like we said, so it's not to be sniffed at. And the next Nations League, which is what 2024, there's some big teams dropping down from that top league, like for example, England got relegated.
That's it.
So that would be tasty, wouldn't it? Finland and England in the same group. That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be
June.
fantastic. Yeah, that's the one we're hoping for.
Have some of that. And let's not count our chickens. Let's get these Euro qualifiers.
Plenty to look at before.
Plenty to look at. So yeah, and I think what you said, that first game, Denmark away in the Parken Stadium, probably be quite a special atmosphere there.
Yeah,
especially if Eriksson plays as well, just bringing the whole thing back to where we were 2 years ago. Yeah. Okay, so Thursday 23rd, 9:45 p.m. finish time, and then Sunday 26th, 9:45 p.m. finish time again, I guess. Haven't made a note here where the games are being shown. I'm guessing they're on Yle now, though, are they, Keke?
Yeah, I think they've got all the rights at the moment. So yeah, you'll catch them on Yle.
Jolly good. And into our final section. Feels like we've been ripping through this. This is a tight show without all those others sprapping on and filling up their headphones with their words. We got this covered this week. Helmarit, the Finnish women's national team. We got a few things to cover for the Helmarit. First of all is the Cyprus Cup coming up in starting next week. So this is good timing.
Right on the button,
Yeah. So can you just give people a little reminder, what is the Cyprus Cup?
So Cyprus Cup is a bit more than a training camp. It's competitive games, but it's a chance for a select few teams are invited to participate. Finland, Helmarit have played it a couple of times, I think, and it's as I say, competitive games, a chance to stretch the legs and get some minutes under your belt. But
who is it organised by, Keke?
Cyprus, I suppose.
Yeah, but they're not playing, are they? Like it's not like Cyprus have invited some teams over to play against them. It's Croatia, Hungary, Romania, and Finland.
Yeah. So who knows?
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It just occurred to me. I don't know the answers to these things, so I assume that others more knowledgeable than me do. Sorry.
Well, that's when we need Rich, because he does seem to know.
Yeah, he does. He's the geeky one with all the facts at his fingertips.
He'd have just rolled it off. Well, actually, but as you say, mate, we're going to be playing Croatia, Hungary, and Romania, all in the space of 6 days, I think it is. So it's something to look forward to. I'll be tuning in for sure. But there's similarly with the Huuhkajat, there's quite a few new young names that have made their way into the Helmarit squad.
Who would you like to pick out from that group of people to look out for?
Well, there's Emi Sirren, who's playing in cups. She's made her way into the squad. I mean, there's obviously some regular names that we're all familiar with. But yeah, I mean, you've also got Emma Pelkurinen, who's now playing in Sweden. Katarina Kossola, who's also playing in the same club in Örebro there. Vilma Koivisto, she steps up. She's been playing for the younger sides, but she steps up to the full Helmarit squad. So you've got them. Kaiser Collin makes her way back into the squad. She's been in and around the Helmarit squad for a few years, but she sort of dropped out of it for last year's Euro, which I'm sure she was disappointed with. But she comes back. One omission that really did stick out for me was Amanda Rantanen. She's not made it to this squad. which is bizarre if you ask me. I mean, she did suffer a wrist injury a little while ago, but she's recovered from that. She scored quite a few goals for Örebro in Sweden there last season, but she's actually moved now. She's joined Liigacup, so
Okay.
Still in the Damallsvenskan in Sweden, but yeah, she's had two sort of training games with those guys and already found the net once. So yeah, it was a bit of a strange one not seeing her name on the squad list.
Yeah, and these games, as we said, Thursday 16th, Sunday 19th, and Wednesday 22nd of Feb. So about a week after you'll be hearing or watching this show, and they're all available to watch live on Yle Arena. So if you're in Finland, it's easy, and if you're not, get your VPN switched on.
That's it. But yeah, I mean, it's there's been I'll just quickly, sorry, mate. There's been a few movers and shakers in Helmarit's ranks as well.
Right.
Obviously,
Okay. Yeah. Go for it.
I mentioned Amanda Rantanen, who's moved clubs there. But Eli Pikkujämsä, she's now playing her football in America. She was also at KIF Örebro, and she's now joined Racing Louisville in the USA. So
there's a lot of these players at Örebro. Looking through the list, there's a couple that have left, and there's still a good few that are there.
No, that's it. Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a destination for the Finns to go over there and check themselves out. But yeah, as I say, Eli Pikkujämsä, she was brilliant for Örebro, and she's now signed for Racing Louisville. Who else have we got? Yeah, that's the. Oh, as I said, Kaiser Collins, she's come back into the squad. She was at AIK, and she's now at Eskilstuna United in Sweden. So,
I just read that name, and I thought that looks like a mouthful, and I've no idea what country that's in.
Yeah. So and then you've got Jenny Danielson. She's been at Glasgow Rangers now for a little while. She was also at AIK. She signed for Rangers a couple of months ago, and she's been doing really well. She's been chipping in with goals and assists. Yeah, so she's absolutely loving life in Glasgow, I think. So it's nice to see her in the squad. And if you cast your mind back to when I had a few words of her after the Denmark game in last year's Euros, you know, she mentioned that she was really hungry for more minutes. So hopefully we can see a bit of her on the pitch for Helmarit.
Yes, and you mentioned last year's Euros, and there's a little bit of news about the next Women's Euro competition. This is Women's Euro 2025, and some news came through that the 4 Nordic countries are gonna put in a joint bid to host the Women's Euros. And like a fool, I thought I had all your notes to hand, but I'm just going to find them because there were a few interesting points in that info that you sent out. So basically, this is the 4 Nordic countries: Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, putting in a joint bid to host the Women's Euro 2025 with 2 stadiums in each country. So in Finland, it will be Helsinki and Tampere, with the final being held in the 50,000 capacity stadium in Stockholm.
Yep, Friends Arena.
Yes, and there was one. Yeah, now I can't remember what the other point was that I wanted. Oh well, maybe 800,000 tickets will be sold now. But this I mean, this obviously is a bid. It hasn't been confirmed yet. Do you know who else they're going up against in this bidding process?
Yeah, there's. I did have a look at it, mate. I think Poland were one who were looking at it. Obviously England have just hosted it, so they're ruled out. But yeah, I'm sure Poland was one of them. But this bid actually looks really, really strong. You know, the fact that the Nordic countries have chosen to get together and submit this joint bid is it looks really fantastic. And the in that little snippet, that little press release, each country, the governments are right behind this. They put a bit of weight behind it. They're committed to delivering the best women's football tournament that Europe has certainly ever seen. And from my point of view, the Nordic countries have been at the forefront of the women's game for quite a while. So I think it'd be only right that they're rewarded with the. Obviously, I'm biased, but it'd be only right that they were rewarded with a chance to host the four of them host it together. So yeah, I think the decision will be made on the 4th of April. Is it?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we haven't got too long to wait. A couple of months now.
No, that's it, and we'll know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm reading here the games will be played in Copenhagen and Odense in Denmark, Helsinki and Tampere, Oslo and Trondheim, Stockholm and Gothenburg. So each country seems to be spreading it out a bit as well, which is good. It would be it'd be handy to have some games in Tampere. Of course, Finland would need to still qualify. I guess you're not going to have 4 host nations guaranteed a place, but still, any international football coming nearby would be nice.
That's it, mate. That's it. And it's nice that they've got those 8 cities, and it gives a chance for the locals to get along and gives people who want to follow their team a chance to go and see some of those wonderful cities. So yeah, fingers crossed for that.
Yes, very good. And let's wrap this show up, Keke, with a slightly less positive story. There's lots of wringing of hands and people talking about this already. But as we're talking women's football, there's a story recently that Saudi Arabia, the tourism board, Visit Saudi Arabia, is going to sponsor the Women's World Cup. I didn't know that Saudi Arabia had a tourism industry to start. Would be my first comment. But I mean, I don't know that we necessarily add anything new to what's been said, but the fact that a country with the women's rights record of Saudi Arabia sponsoring a women's sporting event is dubious to start with in this era of sports washing. That would seem to be another glaring example.
Yeah, I mean, sports washing is exactly the phrase, mate. I mean, the fact that that World Cup is due to take place in Australia and New Zealand, I believe. I mean, a country as progressive and forward-thinking as New Zealand, who's had, I mean, their wonderful Prime Minister Jacinda's just announced her resignation, I believe, which that country's been led by, a strong woman for the last few years, and then to find out that the FIFA or whoever it is have said, why don't the tourism board of Saudi Arabia get to put their mitts all over this? Is a bit of a sickness. So I'm not sure that it's actually signed, sealed, and delivered. But it's a bit of a rumor that's flying about. But can we trust people to see sense?
I put a couple of links in here to some serious journalism about this. So it's not just us two,
which is what you need on this subject.
Yeah, exactly right. There's a couple of links in the blog post if you want to read a bit more. And I mean, a couple of points I would say is there were quite a lot of women Saudi Arabia fans at the World Cup before Christmas. Yep. So women's and the society over there is moving slowly forward, albeit very slowly. And also Saudi Arabia does have a football heritage. It's not completely out of the blue. I feel like Saudi Arabia has more of a football heritage, for example, than Qatar.
Yeah.
Because I remember as a kid growing up and Saudi Arabia were playing at the World Cups. they were playing badly at the World Cups, but they were still getting there, So, but I mean, neither of those points really has anything to do with the fact that it seems like a bad fit. That this particular attempt at sports washing will surely shrink in the wash.
Yeah, I mean, should the Nordic nations be successful in their bid to hold the next Euro, I can't see them allowing Saudi Arabia anywhere near that sort of sponsorship. But,
and those are the kind of noises coming from down under as well, isn't it? That people are not exactly impressed by this decision.
Yeah. But we'll see.
Watch this space, dear listener. And I think that sounds like Keke's family have had enough of him hogging the microphone, and they want to get on the computer. So it seems like quite a good time to wrap up.
Thanks, mate.
Do you have any last minute things that you want to drop in before I say goodbye to people?
I do, mate. Yes,
of course
I don't want us to end on a bit of a miserable one. Okay. So just before we go, I just want to say a big Palion on there to you, mate.
I'll edit that out.
No, you won't. Our very own producer, Mark, top man. Happy birthday!
All right, okay. So now, as you raised it, I'm gonna bounce this back a little bit to one of our listeners, because this tickled me. And I think I can share this with the class. So this is to our friend Farid, who's been a fan and a supporter of this show, who wrote on my Facebook page, "Onnea, gratis, happy birthday, keep it up, Mark." And I thought about that. Like, keep it up. Well, keep getting older. I think that's likely to happen. I'll do that for you. I'll keep getting older every day, every month, and every year. I appreciate your kind words, and thank you for making me blush, Keke.
Nice.
All right, listener, thanks for joining us. Until the next episode of the Finnish Football Show, it's goodbye from me.
Hey, Pop.
And it's goodbye from him. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye. You've been listening to the Finnish Football Show. You can find us online at finishfootballshow.com. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow the Finnish Football Show page and group on Facebook and also on Instagram. See the links in the episode description. You can also connect with the 5 hosts on Twitter, at Explore Finland, at FC Suomi, at Escape to Suomi, at Kekkemuleri, and at Mano99. Links to the Finnish Football Show merch stores are also in the episode description.